I don't, to be honest with you. It hasn't sunk in yet. This is incredible.
Sunday at Bethpage Black, the crowd's chanting, the air's heavy. Brooks Koepka stands on the tee, calm, motionless, eyes fixed. He's chasing another major, another moment in golf history. But rewind 15 years, this same man couldn't even get a college recruiter to return his call. He's a five-time major champion, a former world #1, a player who stares down legends and never blinks. Yet the fire that built him was lit long before the trophies, back when nobody cared who Brooks Koepka was. This is the story of the overlooked kid from Florida who took the hardest road possible and became golf's coldest closer. West Palm Beach, 1990, Brooks Koepka is born into a sports family. His great-uncle, Dick Groat, was an MLB All-Star and NBA player. Competition runs deep. As a kid, Brooks plays everything: baseball, basketball, hockey. He hates losing more than anything. Then, when he's 10, everything changes. A car crash breaks his nose and crushes his hopes of playing contact sports. Doctors tell him no games for months. But one sport was still allowed: golf. And from that day, the course became his arena. He practiced until the sun disappeared, grinding on public fairways while other kids were out playing ball. By high school, Koepka could play, really play. But the phone never rang. The powerhouse golf schools, Oklahoma State, Stanford, Texas, never called. No recruiters, no hype. Finally, Florida State offered him a spot. Not glamour, just opportunity. Brooks took it, not to be seen, but to prove everyone wrong. At Florida State, he wasn't the loudest talent, he was the hungriest. Day by day, he built consistency, precision, patience, pressure-proof golf. By graduation, he'd made history: the school's first four-time All-American, three-time All-ACC, and 2010 ACC Player of the Year. In 2012, he even qualified for the US Open as an amateur, missed the cut, but just being there was a statement. Still, when he turned pro, the big tours didn't come calling. No invites, no sponsors, no safety net.
Yeah, it's different. It's a spot I've never been into. I mean, I had it the day before, but it's a whole lot different on Sunday. That's why you build that lead. And that's why you play so well Thursday through Saturday. You want to build.
So Brooks Koepka did something few Americans ever do. He packed his bags for Europe. He joined the Challenge Tour, golf's gritty minor league. Weeks in small towns, budget hotels, prize money barely enough for flights, crowds thin, pressure thick. But this is where Koepka hardened. 2012, his first win in Spain. 2013, 3 more, won by a staggering 10 shots. Those victories punched his ticket to the European Tour. By 2014, he was Rookie of the Year, battle-tested, confident, unshakable. He hadn't just learned to win, he'd learned to survive. The wins in Europe weren't just victories, they were armor. Far from the spotlights of the PGA Tour, Brooks was learning more than just shot shaping and course management. He was mastering the art of solitude, how to stay sharp when no one's watching, how to believe when no one's clapping. He played in places few Americans had ever heard of: Kenya, Kazakhstan, the Czech Republic. Skinny fairways, brutal winds, language barriers, isolation. It wasn't glamorous. It was golf in its rawest form. At times, there wasn't even a crowd behind the ropes, just silence and pressure. But for Brooks, that silence was oxygen. Where others might have burned out, he burned in. Each round, a lesson in resilience. Each missed cut, fuel. And with every whisper that he'd never make it back to the big leagues, his fire only grew hotter. He wasn't just sharpening his swing, he was sharpening his identity. By the end of his time in Europe, Brooks Koepka wasn't merely a talented player anymore. He was a silent storm, composed, dangerous, and ready.
It doesn't matter to me. I'm trying to play I play my own game. I don't care who I'm paired with. It doesn't matter to me what goes on.
2015, Phoenix, the Waste Management Open. Koepka charged through the field and claimed his first PGA Tour win. The gamble to go to Europe had worked. Now he was back home, stronger, tougher, colder. Analysts noticed the power, the stillness, the quiet stare. He looked built for something bigger. Aaron Hill's 2017, the US Open, golf's ultimate test, 7,700 yards of punishment. But Koepka didn't just survive, he conquered, 16 under par, tying the all-time record, and a 4-shot victory. The overlooked kid had become the man every contender feared. In 2018, he defended that US Open, the first back-to-back champion in nearly 30 years. Then came Bellerive, Tiger Woods surging, the crowd exploding. Koepka never blinked. Final, round 66, another major, 2019, Bethpage Black. He defends his PGA championship, holding off Dustin Johnson, 4 majors in 3 years, world number 1. When asked what drives him, Brooks just shrugged. Golf's kind of boring, unless it's the majors. After 2019, injuries mounted, knees, hip, pain that wouldn't fade. He limped through rounds, missed cuts, withdrew. Whispers started, he's done, he doesn't care. Then came Koepka joined Live Golf. The backlash was instant. Fans called him a sellout. Critics said he'd cashed out, and maybe, for a while, he believed them. Behind the noise, Brooks went back to work. Physical therapy, endless reps, silence, no cameras, no applause, just the same grind he'd known since Florida, the grind of the overlooked. Oak Hill, May 2023. Rain, wind, brutal rough. Koepka led early, stumbled, then surged again. Every shot, every stare, focused, fearless. On Sunday evening, he tapped in the final putt to claim his 5th major, redemption complete. The first LIV golfer to win a major, only the 3rd man in the stroke play era with 3 PGA championships. The boy no college wanted had just rewritten golf's hierarchy. Brooks Koepka's legacy isn't just trophies, it's proof. Proof that the world's opinion doesn't decide your destiny. From a 10-year-old kid recovering from a car accident, to a teenager ignored by recruiters, to a man who forged himself in Europe's mud and pressure, Koepka built a mindset stronger than any leaderboard. Every time he steps onto a major tee box, players know the stakes just got higher. Because Brooks Koepka doesn't play for attention. He plays for moments that burn forever. No recruiters, no hype, just a kid from Florida who made the golf world believe in him the hard way.